Shabbat Shalom, welcome back here to the Light to the Nations channel. It's a blessing, like always, to be once again with you to continue the study of the book of 2 Kings. We will continue reviewing Kings of Yehuda, Kings of Yisra'el, and to see what the word of YaHuWaH is bringing to our lives today. Just was enjoying all the interaction in the chat. It seems that you were having a good time before we began the study today. We are fully aware that there was a time change in the States. We wanted to adjust our time this week, but since we are checking the sundials, you know, exactly at the time that we're supposed to begin is when we have the solar noon over here, so was not going to work for us. But next week most probably we're going to adjust the time, so for those of you in the States is going to be in the regular time. For those of you that have not changed time, is going to be 1 hour earlier. So we will see. We will adjust the time next week. So, you know, we began a new year, as most probably you saw a video I uploaded a few days ago. So we already began the counting of the new cycle, and we have a lot of expectation of what's going to happen during this year. You know, when I was calculating the dates on the calendar we will follow, and you know, one thing that caught our attention is that the day of trumpets is happening in our calendar on September 11. So when I was when I was seeing the table was wow, Yom Teruah on September 11. You know, and this is something that maybe I have not mentioned in the past. I know the relevance of September 11 has
the people in the States.
For the people in the States, but also I think worldwide, because the impact of what happened on that day on 2001 was the impact was worldwide somehow. That could happen in the city of New York.
But in Chile we also have some history with that date.
On the 11th of September on 1973 was
it was a coup, military.
It was a military coup here in Chile, and because of we had a communist government that was generating
for a couple of years.
A big disaster in the country, similar to, without speaking to politics, but similar to what we're facing nowadays. So we don't know. So for us, even before what happened on New York City on 2001. September 11 was already relevant for us.
And it was a date that it was dividing somehow the nation, because a lot of people who suffer maybe from that experience, they took a position. And the people who felt that they were delivered from that, they took the opposite position. So it was a constant, and I think that I grow up, and I think that it was also your case, that everybody was talking about what was your position and things like that. So it was kind of a nightmare, and for a lot of years the country was kind of divided, kind of fractured. But even though we tried to go forward, and we could do it, and it was successful for a couple of years, or I don't know, maybe 7 years, I don't know, I never took the time, but it was doing okay. And then what is happening right now around the world is happening also here. And I think that in different countries, maybe in South Africa, that I've seen Stephen, and in Europe, in the United States, and a lot of countries, we're facing the same.
Believe it or not, and I have seen this in my secular job for many years, is that sometimes a good thing, most of the time it's a bad thing for us in our country here in Chile, is that we are being used as a laboratory for many things. You know, I have been telling you that I work in technology, and all the new technologies most of the time are being tested here, because the country is so small in terms of population that if something goes wrong, the impact is not going to be that high.
And also
And
it has
also,
like all the risky situations, so they have to cover like all the, I don't know, it's like all the problems, they can solve it right now here in the laboratory before they launch it in the final stage.
correct. So you know what we have seen so far in the last few years, that you know, though, that there was some situations happening in Europe, especially in Ukraine, back on 2014 and so on. We began to face an unprecedented social unrest back on 2019, and you have been, and most of you have been with us for many years, so most probably you remember we have talked about this, and you know, the same type of social unrest that we faced and that time, after that began to happen in many other countries. It happened in South Africa, it happened here in other countries of Latin America. And when I was so surprised is when it began to happen in the States. With the similar pattern, the same things.
Maybe the original cause was something different, but it was causing the same effect.
And let me give you another example. 2 days ago, I think we were reading some news, once again from the States, that there was such a situation, algo polémico, ¿cómo lo dices? Okay, don't worry. I will use another word. So because it was found out that the president of the United States were taking an airplane with illegal immigrants to the States without nobody knowing about this, and this was just discovered recently, I think. You know, I can tell you that that first happened here in our country. That back on,
I think that it
2012.
Was 3 governments ago.
Yes. So 12 years ago or something like that, they began to take people from Haiti and paying the tickets and bring them, most of them, over here. And they opened the border.
Borders, they took out
in the north of our country.
All the protection.
They took all the protection, and most of the people that were running away from the countries, they began to enter our country without any control. So we don't know who entered the country. And now in these days we are seeing some situations we have never experienced.
And you cannot describe the horror that we have here.
Horrible things.
Yeah.
And now we see that's happening also in Europe. It's happening in the southern border of the States, and so on. So, you know, just to take the train of thoughts that I began. We have seen this, and we have been used somehow as a laboratory. And if that's the case, because there's something behind the scenes that is pushing for all this type of situations, and they are pushing it to implement it all over the places. And there is no doubt that this is orchestrated, and this has a evil purpose. But for us that we know the word of Yahuwah, we know that this type of things needs to happen.
Yeah.
So
it's part of the prophecies.
Exactly. So that's why we need to keep our eyes open to see what's going on in the world, but not fix our eyes on those things, because if we do that, we are going to get a lot of anxiety. We are going to deviate our attention to where we need to put it. And we have been talking about this always. It's not an easy thing to do. It's easy to say, it's easy to talk about it, but it's not easy to do it. But we need to put that extra effort in order to put our eyes in Yahushua, observing everything that's going on in order to understand what to do, how to act, listening all the time to what the Abba is putting in our hearts through the Ruach. but keeping our eyes in Yahushua in order to continue walking as he's walking. He's leading us on the way. Okay, too much of news and dates and so on. We need to observe, you know, as I said in the previous video, I think this year is going to be relevant. So we need to, no matter the calendar you are, I know that the calendar, I was just reading a paper from before starting. A brother sent me a paper of somehow touching base on the calendar. He put some interesting things, though in other ones I disagree. But the point is that we can be in different calendars and so on. But the most important thing is that we need to have peace between all of us. The most important thing is that we are pushing forward in order to follow the instructions, the eternal instructions of Abba, the Torah of Yahuwah. And even though that we can be in different dates, and for sure we could be mistaking the date, we are in ignorance now. So the time will come that he will reveal to us the entire truth. Until that point, we need to do all the efforts in our hands in order to be as close as possible to the truth, and to do it with all the intention of our hearts. And if we are mistaken in one day in a week, or mistaken in one specific dates or the calendar we are following, but we are doing it in ignorance, and we are doing, and we are keeping the faith, and we are keeping the commandments with all the intention of our hearts, that's what matters. And he will forgive us if we are in, I don't know, in mistakes, when we are wrong. And he will teach us, you know, when the time comes, how to do it properly.
It would be different if we, at all we don't want to keep the feast at all, because we don't know about the calendar. So at least we're trying to do the best with what we have, and at one point he's going to be the one who is going to tell us. Now, everybody was having the wrong date, maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely. I just saw a question over there. For us, you know, we began the year on last Wednesday on the Gregorian. So today, according to the calendar we'll follow, is the 4th day of the new year. I'm still keeping, I'm still tracking, as I said at the beginning, the luminaries. And we're supposed to go back to Santiago, to the big city, on yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday morning.
Yes.
Because, you know, as I told you last week, I have been suffering for my schedule. I wanted to take the entire week off. Actually, I was thinking and dreaming to take 2 weeks off. But you know, that sometimes it's not in my hands. And it's not a matter of money, you know. If I can take vacations, I don't care if they're paying me or not. but unfortunately, you know, sometimes things are happening and some obstacles on the way, and
responsibilities with the work.
Yeah, and I cannot say no, unfortunately. But he made a way at least to extend this
for a couple of days.
Of days. So we are going to be able to continue measuring the luminaries until tomorrow. You know, today morning was totally cloudy, and it was raining last night. But we managed to see the solar noon. I could say that we are 1 day, maybe 2 days,
close to the
equinox, just to see a straight line on the sundial. So we will see. We'll see what will happen tomorrow. We are praying, so tomorrow we are going to have clean skies, just to make sure that we are taking the right measurements on the table. So we will see. So Abba is always making a way, even though that we are facing difficulties. So we need to always wait on him and trust on him in every moment and in every aspect of our lives. And we are going to talk about that, I think, about trust. We'll see what happens if we don't trust in him.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's move on.
Yep.
Anything else?
So what is the name of the portion?
Let me read to you a comment I saw here. What it is. Somebody said that you look beautiful today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Lillian, you look so beautiful today. Lovely hair. From Sweden. Nena. Close by to your sister.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that I have an aunt that is called Nena that is in Sweden.
No, really?
But I don't think that it's you.
So the name of the portion is it's a complicated name. Hesir YaHuWaH Yisra'el.
YaHuWaH removed Israel. Wow.
YaHuWaH removed Israel. Hesir YaHuWaH Yisra'el. We'll see disobedience all over the places in this book of 2 Kings, but compassion all over the place also for the two houses, for the two kingdoms. So let's see what's happening in the portion today. But as we always do, let's go and listen to this song. Okay?
Okay.
Let's do it.
אמצע תקווה, אתה חזק גם בסערה, כשהכל בוער סביבי, אפתח בך, אתה מרים אותי, אתה מרים אותי גבוה מעל כל הקשיים, אני סמוך ובטוח בזרועותיך אלוהים, אתה מרים אותי גבוה לא משנה מה שהיה, הניצחון כבר בידיך, אז אני רץ למטרה, הניצחון כבר בידיך, אז אני רץ למטרה, רק בך אמצע תקווה, אתה חזק גם בסערה, כשהכל בוער סביבי, אפתח בך, אתה מרים אותי, אתה מרים אותי גבוה מעל כל הקשיים, אני סמוך ובטוח
Beautiful song,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Okay, so I invite you to close your eyes and let's pray together. Yahuwah, Sebaot, Elohim of Israel, we want to give thanks to you in this moment, and because of this Shabbat, because once again you are giving us the opportunity to keep your commandments. And we do it with all our hearts because we want to show you, Abba, that we love you, that we want to obey your word, that we want to follow our King, Yahushua HaMashiach. Thank you, Abba, because you are giving us the opportunity to continue with the study, where you are showing us so much truth about your word, about your ways, about your purposes to our lives. Thank you, Abba, because you are opening the door so we can connect between each other through this platform, with the only desire to spend some time together to worship you, to study your word. Thank you, Abba, because through your Ruach, you are connecting us no matter where we are. And we can feel that love for one another, that love that your son Yahushua spoke about. In this time is when we need you the most. Sometimes we lose focus, and our attention is at any place instead of being focused on you. And we want to ask you, as we have been asking you lately, that you can give us strength in order to endure till the end, that you can give us strength in order to overcome any situation that is coming on the way. You can give us strength, in order to stay firm in the place you have put us, in order to continue walking in the direction that your son Yahushua is leading us. We must put an extra effort. It's our part that we need to be strong and courageous. But we also realize and we acknowledge that if we fight any battle with our strength, we are going to lose. And we want to allow you to take control of our lives. We want to ask you that you can fight our battles for us. Because if we do so, you are going to win it for us. Just a matter to surrender our lives to you, understanding that we are nothing and you are all. That you are the one that is giving us fullness of life. Yahuwah, in these times that we are living, we want to ask you to guide us through your Ruach, to teach us of your truth, but also to guide us in order to serve you in whatever way you are thinking for us, in any way that that is in your heart, that is your desire. We see so much darkness, O Yahuwah, arising on the world in every place. And you are there, waiting for us to stand up in order to become vessels and faithful servants, willing to be used in your hands. And There is no doubt in my heart, Saba. There is no doubt in my heart that this little flock here that you have connected us for so many years is having that heart willing to serve you. And we want to openly tell you, Abba, in this moment, that here we are. Send us. Here we are. Use us. We want to be obedient children. And we want to be useful in your hands in these times of trouble, so your light will shine on those dark places. We only ask you, Abba, to give us the strength and the emunah in order to face the enemy, knowing that you are with us. And if you are with us, nothing can happen to us because you are the one protecting us. YaHuWaH, there are so many of your children that are going through difficulties in this time, through depression, anxiety, different type of crisis. I ask you, Abba, that you can touch them with your hand, your mighty hand, bringing healing to their bodies, to their minds, to their hearts, giving them a way out of any situation they are facing nowadays. Teach us to trust in you at every moment, in every angle of our lives, O YaHuWaH Sabaoth. Guide us in everything we will do today, everything we will say. We ask you, Abba, and we invite you that your presence be among us no matter the distance. And we ask you, Abba, that you can use us, all of us here, to speak your truth and to allow your Ruach to speak through us, because we want to learn from you. Thank you, YaHuWaH, for your presence, because you are with us and we can feel it. Thank you for your Torah, because through it you are teaching us your righteousness, what is good and what is evil, and you are instructing us in order to keep what is good before your eyes for our own benefit, in order to have life. And thank you for your Son Yahushua HaMashiach, because through his offering we have a door open to be called children of Elohim and to be part of your people Yisra'el. Thank you, Abba, for everything you have done for us and for everything you will continue doing for us, because we know that your kingdom is here through Yahushua, and there is no doubt that we will see your kingdom very soon being established here on earth, and we want to be part of it. O YaHuWaH, we bless your name and we worship you, and we thank you, Abba, in this moment, because you are giving us the opportunity to lift up our voices to you. Thank you, Abba. We pray to you in the mighty name of your Son Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen. Oof.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 16 and chapter 17. Okay? And YaHuWaH removed Yisra'el. So you can begin reading. I think the other one is much longer. So I'm going to take that one. Okay?
Okay.
So let's move on. Chapter 16, verse 1 onward.
In the 17th year of Pekah, son of Remalyahu, Ahaz, son of Jotham, sovereign of Yehuda, began to reign. So I'm going to give again the meaning
Okay.
of the name just in case. Pekah is opened. Remalyahu is adorned by Yah. Ahaz means seized or possessor. And Yotam, oh, I don't have it here. I miss Yotam. Yeah, well,
Somebody can put maybe,
Yeah, maybe
the
the
meaning of the
name,
name
because
of
I know
Yotam
that-
in the chat.
I have it, but okay, here is Yah is perfect. Okay, Yah is perfect. It should be that. Ahaz was 20 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. So he reigned from 20 years until he was 36 years. And he did not do what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah his Elohim, as his father David had done. But he walked in the way of the sovereigns of Israel, and he also made his son pass through the fire, according to the abominations of the nations, whom Yahuwah had dispossessed from before the children of Israel. And he slaughtered and burned incense on the high places, and on the hills, and under every green tree. Wow. So at the end, he was doing everything that Israel was doing, and was making all Yehuda start. Sorry. Yeah, and it was making all Yehuda to also stray from the path.
Why do you think that happened?
Because maybe I think that is what we're going to see in the next verses. That is where he put his trust and what he was observing.
But what about, maybe something from the past?
From the...
I don't know the answer. I'm just opening an open question. Because it's weird, We were discussing about all the previous kings, even those that were part of the curse over the house of Ahab. Some of them were doing what was right before the eyes of Yahuwah. But due to the curse, they ended up dying as part of that curse. But this one, wasn't part of the curse. He wasn't a direct descendant of
David.
Of Ahab, of Adaliyahu, a direct one. It was part of the bloodline because the bloodline was mixed somehow. But why? Why?
I don't know. I think that from time to time, even from generations, you can have like one father that he's walking perfect, and he's trying to do like Abraham. He was trying to do all the perfect things with his family, and then they have another generation that they are going to deviate. So I think that maybe what was receiving from his own dad was not impressed on him, on his heart. So yeah.
This is.
But still, there is something that was not.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I opened the question. They didn't remove the high places. None of them. There was still some mixed worship. Some they continue keeping and allowing these kind of things. What Yahushua said is that your hand is causing you to fall or to go astray. Cut it. So what he's saying, that we need to remove from our lives everything that is somehow causing us to deviate ourselves.
Is not to have any relationship anymore with that, with all the kind of the past thing, and maybe they were doing right, but at the moment that they were leaving those things, I think that it was because they want to I don't know, maybe to be how do you say, complaciente, like when you want to please some people maybe, and they don't want to have this to confront all the people. So they prefer to do, okay, I'm going to allow them to keep this. But then you don't know what is going to happen in the future. And in the future, somebody is going to go again and to be attached to that, to start again a lot of traditions and, I don't know, acting in a complete opposite way about what Yahuwah wants. So maybe that's why, and I it's not maybe, and I'm sure that's why the instruction of Yahuwah that we have to destroy everything that we know that is against him. So
there was something, even I'm highlighting this, the high places again were not taken away. The people still slaughtered and burned incense on the high places. So, and this was Yotam. And I remember that we were talking in the past, I think it was last week, that we were seeing that they were comparing to David, but he was doing what was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, but not like David. And also remember that this king that has the two names, Azariah and Osiyahu, he was the one receiving this punishment of leprosy because he wanted to take over on the roles and the responsibilities of the Kohanim. So the point is, I think it could be that all of that somehow is connected to the fact that they kept the door open. And this is so true to in different aspects of life. If we have a bad habit and we do nothing in order to remove that bad habit, we will continue doing it during our entire lives, most probably. And maybe the people around us are gonna imitate the same thing. So, and unfortunately, and I think we have said this in the past as well, unfortunately, bad things are much easier to be taken by the other people than good things. People get contaminated much or
easily
manipulated or much easily through bad things than good things. So in this case, it could be is that they kept the door open. They didn't remove all the idolatry that was brought by Adaliyahu, the daughter of Jezebel. They kept the high places. They didn't cleanse the entire place. So they have this mixed worship. What is written in the book of Revelation is that Yahuwah saying that if we are lukewarm, he's going to vomit us out from his mouth. So what it means is mixing things. And when we are mixing things, then we have one foot here and the other foot there. When we are allowing, and actually we're going to read about this in the next chapter, when we're allowing things from the world to stay in our lives, while also we are worshiping Yahuwah and trying to follow his ways. So one thing is different when we are in ignorance, as we were talking about the calendar before. Yahuwah will open our eyes, and when we are conscious about that we were doing was wrong, is the moment to make a decision and to remove everything that is wrong before the eyes of Yahuwah and to continue in the good path. But if what we are doing is mixing, being conscious of what is happening, because we are deciding to do it like that, we are becoming rebels before the eyes of Yahuwah. And that's not going to get unpunished. So maybe that's what's happening here.
Yeah. Then Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Ramalyahu, and Retzin, give me a second, means the light. Sovereign of Aram recovered Eliad for Aram and drove the men of Yehuda from Eliad. So he made the people from Yehuda leave that place. And the Edomites went to Eliat and have dwelled there to this day. And Ahaz sent messengers to Tiglath-Pileser, sovereign of Ashur, saying, I am your servant and your son. Come up and save me from the hand of the sovereign of Aram, and from the hand of the sovereign of Israel, who are rising up against me. So Ahaz sent messenger to this king, the sovereign of Ashur, and Tiglath-Pileser, I'm going to say the name is uncover the bond, and Ashur has a different meaning. It could be gladness, success, a step, when somebody is like resulting, is going okay. So when I read about this part, and I was telling myself, well, I'm your servant, I am your son. Why he did that? And I was like taking, maybe he was a relative or something like that. No, it was like he was surrendering to this person. He was asking this person, you are my father. So it's not YaHuWaH my father anymore. You are the one who is going to help me. So then it was, wow, he was asking the help of some other kind of kingdom, maybe because he was seeing, he was observing that they have, I don't know, just taking the meaning of the name, that they have having a good life, maybe, that he was being successful. And maybe it's not what we have done in the past, that we are, if we see that something is okay for somebody, we are going to try to do the same because they have a good result. And when that happened, we are not taking the hand of YaHuWaH anymore. We are putting our trust, our heart in something else. And I think that was what he was doing. And it says, and Ahaz took the silver and gold that was found in the house of YaHuWaH and in the treasuries of the house of the sovereign, and sent it as a present to the sovereign of Ashur. And the sovereign of Ashur listened to him. And the sovereign of Ashur went up against Damascus and captured it, and exiled it to Kir, and he killed Rezin.
I think I remember we saw another king in the past doing exactly the same. Taking all the treasures from the temple, from the previous kings, also his own treasures, and sending it in order to buy protection. You remember we were discussing that, and actually we put the example is that what is going to be our position? Are we going to try to buy protection from even using things that doesn't belong to us, or are we going to trust in YaHuWaH? And it's so interesting that he is doing it once again.
Yeah, but it's worse.
And for sure, it is worse.
It's getting worse.
It is worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, something that you know, I have heard this people discussing about politics, but it's such a truth that is applicable to any aspect. Is that it's education. When we don't tell the story, the real story to the coming generations, the probability for them to make the same mistakes from the past is so high, because anybody can come and tell them whatever they want, whatever reality, and they will receive it and they will believe it. So could it be that maybe in the case of Ahaz, nobody instructed him in what happened in the past? How these previous kings failed in similar things, and what happened to them. It could be that nobody was instructing him in the true path.
Who was the real savior? Who was the real the power of the Creator, who was there always? If you don't tell that story, to your children, they're not going to know, and they are going to believe what they are being taught, maybe at the school, maybe with the neighbors, with everybody.
So it's education, but sometimes we are so focused and in structures that sometimes it's so easy. It's just to tell the story. It's to tell the story. What YaHuWaH is doing all the time is telling and retelling once again the story to Israel. Remember how I took you out from Israel without an stretched arm. How I delivered you from the hand of Pharaoh. How I fed you, I was feeding you on the wilderness with the bread of from heaven. He's retelling the story. So I think it's so important, and not only regarding the word of YaHuWaH, is in every aspect of our lives, is that we need to tell the story to the previous generation. You remember we discussed this in the past, a long time ago.
About the importance of the grandparents to tell their children
What
and
happened
then
in society with the country, because at the end, you know, the enemy is going to different aspects, in different angles, in different ways, and he's attacking the newer generations with lies. You know, he's the father of lies. So he will come with lies to attack the newer generations, and they will believe the lie because nobody is telling them the truth, and nobody is telling them the story. And you know, this can be a huge debate. It could be a long talk show about what is truth, what is reality. You know, what we need to tell is what we have experienced. And maybe different families and different persons have experienced things in different ways. So they need to tell the stories.
And imagine, I don't know if you remember this game that it was that everybody was in a kind of a circle, and you have to pass like a message. The telephone, we call it. And you have to pass a message, and the message that was at the end has nothing to do with the original message. So imagine if that is happening. What could happen also when the person who is responsible to share a witness about the importance of YaHuWaH maybe is doubting, maybe is not 100% confirmed. So maybe that person is not going to say, well, YaHuWaH was there, he was delivering me from this and that, he was changing my life. Maybe what that person is going to say, well, I was lucky because I could do it. And that is the change of the message. That is what the enemy is doing, is trying to completely delete the importance of our Father, of our Creator, and convincing the people that they are the one who are doing the things. And that is very dangerous. And I think that maybe that was happening with this, with the king.
Most probably. And Karen and I already took notes, so thank you for the topic for the talk show. And you know, just to close the thought is, I remember that I loved that those days when we tried to take vacation a month ago or something like that, and we were with my parents here, and I remember my dad talking to Angela, my daughter, and what he was doing, he was sharing different experiences he had with the Ruach. And that's the type of things we have to do.
Yeah.
Is to share our testimony. Is to share our story. Is to share what YaHuWaH has done for us. With everybody. Especially with younger people. They need to grow up listening to these things. Listening to all the stories of the word, what YaHuWaH has been doing through all the years, but most importantly, what YaHuWaH has done for us. Specific stories of what we have experienced. You know, sometimes we don't do it because we are ashamed, not because we're ashamed of Yahuwah, because we are so timid that we don't like to share it and to put ourselves in the focus of the attention. But we need to be bold enough when we're talking about the truth, about the experiences, about everything that Yahuwah has done for us. Because something happened, and it's been part of our discussions lately. When we do those things, it's like to revive those experiences within us, and those are coming with emotions. And when we talk those stories, and we are feeling it once again, the other person began to vibrate with the same.
And can be touched.
And can be touched.
And that person then can be, without realizing, can be maybe getting ready to receive like the opening of eyes that Yahuwah is going to do on that person.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on.
And I don't remember.
Okay, you need to write.
And Sovereign Ahaz went to meet Tiglath-Pileser, sovereign of Ashur, at Damascus, and saw a slaughter place that was at Damascus. And Sovereign Ahaz sent to Uriah the priest a sketch of the slaughter place and its pattern, according to all its workmanship. And Uriah the priest built a slaughter place according to all that the Sovereign Ahaz had sent from Damascus. And Uriah the priest made it before Sovereign Ahaz came from Damascus. It didn't, I don't know, call your attention like a parallel?
A parallel? No.
When I was reading this, I remember about the time when it was Yahuwah who was calling Moshe and was asking him to go to the top of the mountain.
Yep.
And he was given the revelation about the tabernacle, how he has to build it. And he showed him. So here we have, that was what Yahuwah was doing, and here we have what the sovereign, what a man is doing. And it's only a man, and he is like doing, okay, I'm going to copy this, that it was done by somebody else, and I want you to make one of this. So at the end, you are replacing something that it was like being done by Yahuwah, shown by Yahuwah, and you are changing that from something that is man-made. So I don't know, for me it was like, wow, okay, I'm going to continue reading. And when the sovereign came from Damascus, the sovereign saw the slaughter place, and the sovereign approached the slaughter place and made offerings on it. He was doing the offerings, and he burned his ascending offering and his grain offering, and he poured his string offering and sprinkled the blood of his peace offering on the slaughter place. And the bronze slaughter place, which was before Yahuwah, he brought from the front of the house, from between the new slaughter place and the house of Yahuwah, and put it on the north side of his slaughter place. When I was reading this, I couldn't avoid to think about when Yahushua was saying, and I think that I told you this before, when he was saying, when the abomination of desolation is going to be there installed or put, what Daniel was saying, for me it was, wow, it was like, maybe it's this, is that, and if we try to connect the points, what is the slaughter place? What is where we take all the offerings? Is like, I don't know, something that is related with the place, with how we connect with our Ava, and how we can replace that is a special connection, as I don't know, with Ava and us, and we can replace it for something that it was made by any person. So maybe sometimes I was thinking about how we worship him, how we approach to him. And I was remembering when we were sharing with you about maybe if you had the possibility of watch that video of Steve Mutria, and he was saying, it's not that sometimes we are thinking, oh, if I hear this music, I'm there with the Father. If I'm just talking about things related to the Father, I'm having the connection. Maybe we feel that we are getting closer, but it's not that, because we are not in the presence of Him. We are not sharing that sacred space with Him. So I was thinking about that. That sometimes we can...
I think it's relevant that there is so many examples that we see the same pattern, the same behavior. I think it's an issue of the heart. You know, it happened with the golden calf. What they were doing, they were replacing YaHuWaH for the idol. Even Aaron saying, here you have the Elohim that brought you out of Mizraim. So, and then many other examples where we see Yarovam, what he did. He established a new calendar with new feast days for the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom. That was the sin of Yarovam that we have been reading all over the place. And he made 2 big calf and idols. And he put them, one in Bethel and the other in Dan. So in order to avoid for the people to go to Jerusalem, because he was afraid that the people were going to return to become just one kingdom under the hand of Rehoboam. So it's replacing it.
Yeah, and for instance, the feast of the Father, all the feasts that he has, before I'm thinking that maybe you have the same experience, because in the past, before I knew him, I was celebrating all the feasts of the world. And then when I saw the feast of the Father, I said, well, at one moment, I cannot do it anymore, because they doesn't have anything to do with the Father. So, and it's so difficult when you are trying to tell the people, I know that it has to come from there. It has to be born from their intention, from their heart. That moment that you resign to all that and you start keeping the feast of the Father. But the world is like every day they have a new feast. The day of the friendship, the day of the woman, the day of the boss, the day of the helper, I don't know, the day of the flower. Like a lot of days, but they are not keeping the feast of the Father. So also replacing.
Yeah, you know, I think this part of the portion has even more profound meanings. That requires more study. What I just was thinking on the wow. I just was thinking on the study we did on the Ruach, on the inner man. This is the house.
This is the temple.
What's the main door? It's our mouth. And you remember the slaughter place? Is part of what's going from this door to connected to the food. So could it be that, you know, it would change something physically in this body? We are changing his pattern.
Yeah.
So it's like replacing our stomach and to put something different that is not part of what he created. It's like food we are eating that is not set apart. It's like what we are seeing here, that these offerings were becoming contaminated because he decided to put something that didn't belong to that place. So at the end, you know, if we want to see it in a more genetic way, if this is the house, anything that we put here that doesn't belong and it wasn't part of the creation, it's something that and it's a very delicate topic.
Yes, a delicate topic. I have had my
so something to think about it and to pray about it.
Yeah.
You know, what was done in the past was done. We need to.
Yeah.
But the point is that having this understanding what we're going to do from now onward.
Yeah.
Now on.
Yeah.
So in the physical and in the spiritual, you know, if the slaughter place is connected to the copper or the bronze slaughter place is connected to our physical body, as we were discussing that study, and the entrance to that place is our mouth. Somehow, if we see it from the inner to the outside, could it be related to the words we say, the offerings we provide? Maybe, you know, what we say, what we speak are coming from not the place that we're supposed to offer it to Yahuwah. It's becoming contaminated. So we can look at it from the outside in, and from the inside out. How this behavior of Ahaz could be related to ourselves. More to study about.
Okay. And Sovereign Ahaz commanded Uriah the priest, saying, on the great slaughter place burn the morning ascending offering, and the evening grain offering, and the sovereign's ascending offering, and his grain offering, with the ascending offering of all the people of the land, and their grain offering and their drink offerings, and sprinkle on it all the blood of the ascending offering and all the blood of the slaughtering. And the bronze slaughter place is for me to inquire by. So he took possession of something that didn't belong to him, and he was going to start to manipulate it for his own purposes. Yeah. And Uriah the priest did according to all that sovereign has commanded. So what do you think about the priest? He could have done something different?
Absolutely. The same thing that the priest did with Uzziah when they saw the king trying to offer and to take the place of the priest. What they did, they stood against him.
Yeah. And we forgot to mention something that it was very important, because when it was saying about the leper, remember that that was the punishment? It was because the king was wroth with all the priests that were against him.
Yeah, he wasn't. He what was the word we used? He didn't ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
He didn't humble himself.
Yeah. So he continued being wroth about what he was hearing. So, and then the leper punishment came. And yeah. And Sovereign Ahaz cut off the side panels of the stands and removed the basins from them. And he took down the sea from the bronze oxen that were under it and put it on pavement of stones. And the covered way which they had built in the house for the Shabbat, and the sovereign's outer entrance he took from the house of YaHuWaH, because of the sovereigns of Ashur. And the rest of the acts of Ahaz, which he did, are they not written in the books of the annals of the sovereign of Yehuda?
You see, he did a lot of changes to the house.
Oh, it was like he almost destructed it. I don't know. He did a lot of cutting and removing, and if you think about this body, if we think about what is happening now in the world with all the surgeries and I want to have maybe bigger lips, I want to have this and a new replacement of that, I want to have more power, I'm going to, and people are getting
changing
all that from things that are not made by Yahuwah, and they think that they're going to be happier with that, and at the end they don't realize that they are bringing only more and more problems to their lives, and they are leaving like the option, because they are going to defend what they are doing with their thoughts. So at the end, they are not going to accept the creation that our Father made, how our Father made us, every one of us. He thought about us. He made us beautiful. Everyone, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. Me, I'm beautiful. We have to love what our Father had made with each of us.
And I wanted to say something similar. It's not only this house, this world.
Yeah.
How
he created it
it's
was
a big
perfect.
one. It's like a bigger house.
And it was perfect.
And what's happening in the last few years, we're trying to change it too.
Because we think that we can make it better.
Correct.
Yeah. Because we think that with the faster way, we are going to improve something. And at the end, we are...
So, but you see, the pattern is like... it's like the same of what Uzziah was trying to do, is to try to put himself in a place that doesn't belong to him.
Yeah.
In the role that is not for him. In this case, Ahaz was putting himself in the place of Elohim.
Yeah.
Because as you remembered, he provided the pattern to Moshe, and he provided the pattern to David. How everything needed to be built. And he said, no, I'm going to build something that I like better. He put himself in the place of Yahweh. So it's the intention again of the heart is to try to put ourselves in the place of Elohim. And I think you're right. It's anti-Mashiach. Is the system of the beast. Is the ways of the world. Wow.
So Ahaz slept with his fathers, and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, and Hizkiyahu, his son, reigned in his place. Dun, dun.
Good. Yarash is asking a very difficult question. Should organ transplant be done to save a life?
Save a life. Well, I used to think, because I used to work in the pharmaceutical world before, years when I was young, and I used to think that everything related with medical things was with a very good intention, that it was for our benefit. But then I realized, when I arrived to this path, to the truth of our Father, then I realized He is the owner of our life. He says that I am the owner of your heart, your kidneys belongs to me. So then when I read that scripture, I understood, I don't know, it was like, wow, even though we tried to do that maybe through some eyes is going to be something very, I don't know, lovely, because you are showing love. That is how the world see that action. We are going against His will, because He is the only one who knows the numbers of days that we are going to have in this earth. And what is the problem is that we see that living here is the only thing. We see that this is the most beautiful, and even though it's really beautiful, this life, but we are missing, we are getting trapped in the reality that being here in this earth is because we are not in His presence, because we are having this punishment. We are under the curse here. So what we have to do is to embrace the life that He's going to provide us, the next one. And here we have to learn to love His ways, to love His instruction, to love all the days that He's given us. And if for some reason He said, okay, you are going to have a problem with your heart, that is the way that you are going to die, well, so be it, because He is choosing that way that you are going to leave this world. And you can leave this world because of a sickness, you can leave this world because of an accident, you can leave the world because you were sleeping, and it's the ideal death. But He is the one choosing the way that we are going to leave this world. Not us. We don't have to try to extend something that He already determined. So I don't know. Sorry, that's my point of view. Sorry.
What?
Because I don't know. Because
nobody's telling you something because you took more time in order to answer.
Because sometimes I know that some of you are going to understand me, but sometimes it's something difficult to express, because not everybody believes in the same, that this is only one part of the complete love story that we have with Yahuwah. we are far away in this moment, and he's trying to take us, to rescue us from this place that is full of death. And he wants to take us, but if we are, every time that he's trying to take us, we're no, because I want to be here more days, I want to be here, I want to leave everything here, then how he's going to do it?
Yep. I'm going to reserve my
Your
comments.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a good question for a talk show. Because, Yarash is asking again, what about to save a child? So I think we should take some note, and this is your time to take the note, because I took the note of the other one. And
yeah. Okay.
yeah, then actually I think it's a good thing to talk about, to mention what is our position, though you already mentioned what's your position. But we can go in more details. So let's continue. Let's go to chapter 17. And it says the following. So in the 12th year of Ahaz, sovereign of Yehuda, Hoshea, son of Elah, began to reign over Yisrael in Shomeron for 9 years. And he did evil in the eyes of YaHuWaH, but not as the sovereigns of Israel who were before him. You know what's interesting here is that it doesn't mention that he was worse or better.
Yeah.
It says that but not as the sovereigns of Israel. In the way that I felt it when I was reading it, is that he was better. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, like the previous one. Okay? But even though, unfortunately for him, the time of fulfillment came during his kingdom. So, because let's continue saying, Shalmaneser, sovereign of Ashur, came up against him, and Hoshea became his servant, and rendered him a present. But the sovereign of Ashur found a conspiracy in Hoshea, for he had sent messengers to So, sovereign of Mizraim, and had not brought a present to a sovereign of Ashur, as year by year. And the sovereign of Ashur shut him up, and bound him in prison. And the sovereign of Ashur went through all the land, and went up to Shomeron, and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the sovereign of Ashur captured Shomeron and exiled Israel to Ashur, and settled them in Halach and Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. Do you have it?
Yeah. The names Allah and Habor and the river of Gozan means painful, joining, cut off. Those are the meaning. And Medes is middle land.
So, I think it's interesting to see that in the previous chapter, it was somehow the king of Judah
Now we are
asking help from Ashur to go against the king of Israel. And now we see the king of Ashur continue going against the king of Israel. And he became a servant.
Yeah.
The king of Israel became a servant of Ashur.
But this is a different king of Ashur.
It's a different king of Ashur, but again, between kingdoms.
Yeah, they were asking the help to one that maybe it was impartial, or was easily to bribe to have their favor.
No, yes, but what I'm trying to say is that could it be that maybe the action of the king of Yehuda somehow contributed for this to happen? Because the king of Yehuda was the one asking the king of Ashur, let me put it in this way, the kingdom of Yehuda, not the king, because there are different kings. The kingdom of Yehuda was asking the kingdom of Ashur to go and fight against the kingdom of Israel because they paid for protection. So basically, they created this link of a battle between the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Ashur. Maybe if the kingdom of Yehuda was not intervening and asking for that protection, maybe this was not going to happen during this period of time. We know that YaHuWaH already decided to remove the tribes because of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, you didn't listen to me, and we were going to read about that. And that happened. But for me, it's interesting to see how Yehuda was somehow connected to potentially to the situation. So, and you know what the kingdom of Israel was doing, something that Yahuwah was telling them not to do, is to go to Mizraim once again.
And so means concealed.
Okay.
That is the name of that sovereign of Mizraim, concealed.
Correct. So let's continue. And the sovereign of Ashur went through all the land, and I already read that one. So the verse 7. Now this came to be because the children of Israel had sinned against Yahuwah their Elohim, who had brought them up out of the land of Mizraim, from under the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mizraim, and feared other mighty ones. So what we are seeing here is basically what is being called the lost tribes of Israel. Because what Ashur did, he removed all the people.
Yeah.
And he removed them to their lands. To these places, and it would be interesting to look in where those places are in the map. Okay, so basically, is in this moment is when the tribes of Israel became lost. They were removed from the land, and from this point onward is when we have all the promise given by Yahuwah through the prophets that those lost tribes will come back. And even Yahushua himself, he said he came for the lost tribes of the house of Israel. So it says, now this came to be because the children of Israel had sinned against Yahuwah their Elohim, who had brought them up out of the land of Mizraim, from under the hand of Pharaoh, sovereign of Mizraim, and feared all their mighty ones, and walked in the laws of the nations, whom Yahuwah had dispossessed from before the children of Israel, and of the sovereigns of Israel that they had made. They decided who was to be the sovereign. They didn't ask Yahuwah to establish a sovereign for them. They walk in the laws of the nations. What else they did? And the children of Israel secretly did against Yahuwah their Elohim matters that were not right. And you know, when I saw this, it's so interesting. They did it in secret. How many times we are doing things in secret? Even when we're talking about in secret, we are thinking on those things, not even doing. But it's part of what is our inner dialogue, is the intention of our heart to do something against Yahuwah. You know, it's just the fact of thinking on this and maybe not completing the action. But if we are not able to remove those thoughts from our minds and our hearts, I do believe that we are acting in the wrong way. And let me say it again. It doesn't mean that those thoughts cannot come to our mind. The enemy is planting thoughts too. The point is that what we are going to do with them. If we are going to allow them to make nets in our hearts and minds, or we are going to rebuke them and to remove them from ourselves. That's a big difference. Okay? So this, I think, is something really important, what we are doing secretly in our hearts. And they built for themselves high places in all their cities, from watchtowers and to the walled city. And I think while I'm reading, we need to think and to do a parallel, thinking about what it means in us. Because we know that this really happened with the lost tribes. But what could be a spiritual meaning? Are we building for ourselves high places in this house, in our lives? Are we building watchtowers? Are we building walls around us that sometimes somehow are not allowing good things to come in? Okay? And set up for themselves pillars and asherim on every high hill and under every green tree, and burned incense there on all the high places, like the nations whom YaHuWaH had removed from their presence. And they did evil matters to provoke YaHuWaH. Even they did it with intention. It was translated to provoke, is when you are doing it something with intention, not in ignorance. Okay? And serve the idols of which YaHuWaH had said to them, do not do this. And YaHuWaH warned Israel and Yehuda through all of his prophets and every seer, saying, turn back from your evil ways and guard my commands, my laws, according to all the Torah which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants, the prophets. So, this is a summary, if you ask me, of the good news. It's a summary of the good news. Is to do teshuvah, is to turn back from the evil ways.
Guard the commandments,
and
laws.
to guard the commandments, the laws, according to the Torah. So, and even the same thing that he commanded to the fathers and sent by all the prophets. So, it's the same message today, is that we need to turn back. We need to go and walk in the path of righteousness. But they did not listen and hardened their necks, like the necks of their fathers, who did not put their trust in YaHuWaH, their Elohim. And this is exactly what we were discussing in the previous chapter. You know, Ahaz was putting his trust in the king of Ashur, instead of putting his trust in YaHuWaH, their Elohim. That's why, you know, they didn't remove also the previous kings, the high places. They allowed this to grow and grow and grow until the kingdom of Yehuda also departed and turned their back from YaHuWaH. Okay? And rejected his laws and his covenant that he had made with their fathers. You know, this is something we have speak about for years, is that this is exactly what the world has been doing for so many years, for centuries, for millennia, and is still doing it. It's rejecting the laws and the Torah of YaHuWaH. And we see what's the consequence of doing that. And his witnesses, which he had witnessed against them, and went after wordlessness and became wordless. And after the nations who were all around them, of whom YaHuWaH had commanded them not to do like them. And they left all the commands of YaHuWaH their Elohim, and made for themselves a molded image, 2 calves, and made an Asherah, and bowed themselves to all the host of the heavens, and served Baal. This was the sin of Jeroboam. Okay? And caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire, and practiced divination and sorcery, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of YaHuWaH to provoke him. You know, it's interesting that
they are doing everything that YaHuWaH prohibited.
Yeah, but if you take a look on the world today, we see the same things with different names, with different things, but you know, at the bottom line, it's exactly the same. It's bowing down to something different to what
YaHuWaH
is YaHuWaH, what YaHuWaH is. Okay? You know, practicing divination, sorcery, pharmakia. So YaHuWaH was very enraged with Israel and removed them from his presence. None was left but the tribe of Yehuda alone. And this is something we need to ask ourselves. You know, remove them from his presence. Maybe sometimes when we are going through some period of times that we feel isolated from his presence, it could be because of 2 things. Because we're going through a period of trials, just to strengthen ourselves, or
because he's telling us you are doing something that is not...
Because we are doing something that is not right.
Right.
And we need to be humble enough in order to seek his face, asking him to open our eyes to understand if it's a trial or if it's something that we're doing wrong. And if it's something that we're doing wrong, is to be able to see what is wrong and to make a decision to turn back from our evil ways. So this is really important, especially in these times. The other day I saw a comment in the video. I had to answer because I felt it to answer. And I think this is something that we are feeling, all of us we are feeling in these days. Sometimes we are feeling isolated. Sometimes we are feeling that the anxiety and depression. Sometimes we are feeling that he's not with us. Yahweh is not with us. Sometimes we are feeling that his presence is not with us. We see other days that we are so happy and we are so with this feeling of peace and freedom, seeing Yahuwah and his presence all over the places and everything we do. And we are in this roller coaster with ups and downs. So it could be because there are many things and these evil forces working in these days that is somehow causing all this situation, not only in us, also in unbelievers. It's happening the same. Maybe we are able to understand and to feel it differently and to understand what's the source of all of this. But we need to ask ourselves as well, could it be that maybe we're doing something wrong?
Yeah.
And by doing something wrong, I'm not saying that maybe we are committing sin and we are going against the commandments of Yahuwah. It could be that maybe we are fixing our eyes in something different, in something that is not good. Maybe we are putting our focus and our attention not in Yahushua and in the kingdom. We are putting our focus and our eyes in what's going on in the world. So that's why, all the description of what's going on to Israel in this portion is so relevant. Because maybe we are not doing something to provoke Yahuwah. Maybe it's just we are departing from some things and to put first the kingdom of Yahuwah and his righteousness. And maybe this is also causing that we are in this roller coaster with up and downs, that we are not able to be steady feeling his presence and to understand what we have to do. Once again, the only ones that we can have the answer for that is each one of us seeking the face of Yahuwah. That is a trial, or maybe we are doing something that is not right,
or maybe we are not doing anything at all. Maybe we are having like a instruction, like he's asking something from us and we are being inactive. Maybe we are not acting. It could also be that. And the issue with this is that if we know that there's a trial period and we are always, because it was something like you were telling me, if you always are thinking that is the answer, you are not going to see if you are doing something wrong. You're not going to even consider it. You're going just to rely, okay, this is a trial period, this is a trial period, and this is a trial period. And maybe it's not.
Yeah, and as Camila put in the chat there now, sometimes Yahuwah made us go through times of isolation because we need refinement. Yes, we need those times. That's why, we cannot judge others or judge ourselves so in a severe way immediately. It's like the disciples, when they saw the blind man, they were asking Yahushua, so who was the one committing sin? His fathers or himself? So they were judging immediately about something happened on his family, his family tree, or even in himself, that they were committing sin against Yahuwah.
No.
And it wasn't that the answer. This being allowed in order to demonstrate and show the mighty power of Yahuwah Elohim. So that's why, you know, if we are going through those situations, we are always having three alternatives. It's like when we are going through some kind of illness, we have three alternatives. Or when we are going through some trials, we have three alternatives. If because there's something that is coming from our family tree that needs to be removed. Second, it could be that maybe we are doing something that is wrong before the eyes of Yahuwah, that we need to pray about it and to receive wisdom in order to do teshuvah. And third is that there's a plan from Yahuwah for us, that He's allowing us to go through those times because first He wants to strengthen us, our faith. He wants to refine us. And maybe those times of isolation that sometimes we feel is because we need to go through that period of silence in order to remember that we depend on Him. Sometimes when we're not going through those times, walking with Him and feeling His presence becomes something so usual that we don't give the importance of what it means to walk with Him. So once again, when we are going through those things, and if you are able to see or you are in contact with people that are going through those situations, you need to pray, and you need to pray in those directions, and you need to console in those directions. Just to understand what's the plan from Yahuwah, what's what is behind the scenes, on what's really going on, to understand how to really pray. It says in the 19, Yehuda also did not guard the commands of Yahuwah their Elohim, but walked in the laws of Yisra'el which they made. Who made the laws? Israel. Who made the slaughter place? A man. Who made the traditions of the man? Man. So everything that the source is man, and those things are with the intention to replace what Yahuwah has established, they're always wrong. Everything we have,
even
we were
though
talking,
they have the best intention.
yes.
At the end, there is some crack there.
And Yahuwah rejected all the seed of Israel and afflicted them and gave them into the hand of plunderers until He had cast them out from His presence. So persecution is part of this situation. For He tore Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam son of Nebat sovereign. And Jeroboam drove Israel from following Yahuwah and made them commit a great sin. And the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They did not turn away from them, until Yahuwah removed Israel from His presence, as He spoke by all His servants the prophets. So Israel was exiled from their land to Ashur, as it is to this day. And you know, there is something so relevant here, and I think it's connected to a question you asked me earlier about when you asked me about Uriah the priest, if he did right or wrong. And we were remembering what the other priest did when they saw Siyahu trying to do something that was not right. And I just was reading this phrase from a known person, and I think somehow it's connected to everything that we are saying. You know, this is the phrase: every time we witness an injustice and do not act, we train our character to be passive in its presence, and thereby eventually lose all ability to defend ourselves and those we love. So if we don't act when we see things that are not right, when we don't act when we see things that are wrong, we create a habit in ourselves to become passive. And so in the future, when we create a behavior, we create a pattern within us. When we see things that are wrong in the future, when we will see things in the future that are wrong, we will continue not acting. So why I'm bringing this topic here? Because it happened to Uriah. What he should do to go against the king. How come he was going to change the slaughter place? It's a set apart place defined by YaHuWaH. He needed to stand up even with his sword in the same way that the other priest did with Uzziah in order to defend that place. What happened to Israel here? It says in the verse 22, and the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They did not turn away from them. What they needed to do is to stand up when they saw Jeroboam doing these things and not to accept it. It means that they were going to go against Jeroboam in this aspect, yes, because we need to go and we need to align ourselves to YaHuWaH first. And maybe, the story was going to be even different because it's always a relationship, as we were talking this morning. Every side will have the truth, but every side will see things from their angle. So at the end, both sides are going to contribute themselves in order to work together. So in this case, what I'm trying to say, what would happen if the children of Israel was going to stand up and said, Jeroboam, no way. What you're doing is wrong. We're going to keep the commandment of YaHuWaH. So remove those idols. We are not going to listen to you. We are not going to go back to Rehoboam because of what Shlomo did. We don't care about Shlomo. We are a different kingdom now, but we are not going to depart ourselves
from YaHuWaH,
and his Torah. You know what could happen? Maybe Jeroboam was going to listen and to change because the other part decided to stand firm on the truth. But they didn't do that. They allowed themselves to be passive, as the note that was reading, in front of an injustice or something that was wrong. They created the behavior. And they created the behavior that lasts for all those years and all those kings that at the end resulted in everything that we are reading here.
The few were related to a man, not to YaHuWaH.
Yes. So I think this is a great lesson for all of us. Is that when we see that something or somebody is doing something that is wrong before the eyes of YaHuWaH, we cannot keep quiet. It doesn't mean that we need to fight. It doesn't mean that we need to fight. It means that we cannot be complacent and to follow what the rest of the people is doing. The first thing we need to do is to stand up and to fear YaHuWaH and to keep his commandment and to follow the leadership of Yahushua HaMashiach. But also we need to speak up. We need to speak up the truth, because by speaking up and by doing the truth, we are acting in compassion, and maybe those that are going astray are going to see us and they are going to realize that what they're doing is wrong, and they are going to be able to see and to do teshuvah and to return to the path of YaHuWaH. Even when they don't know the path of YaHuWaH, they are going to know it because of our actions and our words. But if we are passive and we do nothing and we say nothing, we are becoming part of the problem too. So let's continue. 24. And the sovereign of Ashur brought people from Babel and from Cutha and from Awa and from Hamath and Sepharwaim and placed them in the cities of Shomeron instead of the children of Israel. And they took possession of Shomeron and dwelt in its cities. And those are the descendants of the Shomeroni. And that's why, you know, the people of Judah in the times of Yahushua and the Shomeronians, they were always fighting between them. Because, you know, they were the descendants of the people that somehow replaced the true and the real Israelites.
And it's interesting about the meaning of the name. Babel, crashing, overthrown, fortress, two separations, or two groups, or separation.
So it says, and it came to be at the beginning of their dwelling place there, that they did not fear YaHuWaH. And YaHuWaH sent lions among them, which were killing among them. A roaring lion. That's Shatan. If we don't have the protection of YaHuWaH, because we are not under his ways, lions will come and will try to devour us. And this is what Peter was talking about, and here we see a clear example. And they spoke to the sovereign of Ashur, saying, the nations whom you have removed and placed in the cities of Shomeron do not know the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. And he has sent lions among them. And see, they are slain among them because they do not know the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. Was okay what they were doing? What do you think? It was okay or not okay?
But they were doing what? Because they were saying it says they didn't know anything about the ruling or about what.
But that's the point. They were seeking. They wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because of fear. Through the lions, they began to fear YaHuWaH.
And they want to stop that.
And they wanted to stop that to happen. And they knew that the only way to stop it is by following the right ruling of, as they call it, the Elohim of the land. So
at the end, I think that they were even more fearful than the people itself.
Yes. They were seeking, they were fearing YaHuWaH because, you know, they wanted to be devoured. They didn't want to have more problems. So, okay, I'm going to seek what are the right rulings and I'm going to follow it. So, yeah, they were, I think what they were doing was good. The point is what they did at the end wasn't good. And the sovereign of Ashur commanded, saying, send one of the priests whom you exiled from there to go there. Let him go and dwell there, and let him teach them the right ruling of the Elohim of the land. So far, so good.
Even an opportunity to do teshuvah.
And one of the priests, and you know, it's interesting because we see this is a picture, a foreshadow of Gentiles. Nations seeking to know the right rulings of YaHuWaH. Wanting to follow them. Asking for somebody to teach them. They were not from the seed of Yaakov or Abraham. They were from the nations. They wanted to seek and put in practice the right ruling of YaHuWaH Sebaot. And one of the priests whom they had exiled from Shomeron came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how to fear YaHuWaH. But every nation was making mighty ones of its own and put them in the houses of the high places which the Shomeronim had made, every nation in the cities where they dwelt. Oh, you know, this is exactly what's going on in the entire world and even in the land of Israel today.
The mixing of the pagan stuff with the Kodesh stuff.
Because they came from different origins, with different cultures, with different type of worship, and they were mixing all together. Wasn't this what the Catholic Church did in the time of Constantine? When they decided to name Christianity as the official religion of the empire. And what they were doing, they were taking everything that was pagan and they were Christianizing. Christianizing it.
And you know that until today there are some churches I remember in Guatemala, there is once that I was there is a special building, then they have mixing the two activities together in the same place, in the same building. They have pagan activities and they have Christian masses. So you cannot understand, and they are respecting one another because they prefer to do both together instead of not doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we see this behavior happening over here. And the men of Babel made Sukkot Benoth, and the men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima, and the Awites made Nibhas and Tartak, and the Sepharwites burned their children in fire to Adremelech and Namelech, the mighty ones of Sepharim. They also feared YaHuWaH, and from every class they made for themselves priests of the high places, who offered for them in the house of the high places. They were fearing YaHuWaH, and they were serving their own mighty ones, according to the ruling of the nations from among whom they had been exiled. More clear, impossible. Mixing the worship to YaHuWaH with mixing with idolatry and paganism. It's happening even today. And sometimes, maybe we still have some traditions and roots of pagan or idolatry that we have not discovered yet. And that's why we always need to analyze our behaviors, analyze our traditions, analyze what we do, and asking Abba to show us if there's something that we need to be cleansed from.
We need to go always to the origin of what that, I don't know, thing or activity means. What was the purpose, how that activity was born, and if we are doing the same, then we need to ask Abba, is this from you? And if we are seeing that is not from him, we cannot participate in that anymore. So that is how it is more simple, always to go to the origin.
Okay, let's move. So to this day, they are doing according to the former rulings. They are not fearing YaHuWaH, nor do they follow their laws or the right rulings, or the Torah and commands which YaHuWaH had commanded the children of Yaakov, whose name he made Yisra'el, with whom YaHuWaH had made a covenant and commanded them, saying, do not fear other mighty ones, nor bow down to them, nor serve them, nor slaughter to them. But YaHuWaH, who brought you up from the land of Mizraim, with great power and with an stretched arm, him you shall fear, and to him you shall bow yourselves, and to him you shall slaughter. And guard to do forever the laws and the right rulings and the Torah and the commands which he wrote to you for you, and do not fear other mighty ones. And do not forget the covenant that I have made with you, and do not fear other mighty ones, but fear YaHuWaH your Elohim, so that he delivers you from the hand of all your enemies. And they did not obey, but did according to the former rulings. So what we see here, in addition to mixing, serving YaHuWaH with idolatry, it's not said or written directly, but basically with everything I just read in the last few verses, is that they were picking and choosing. They were deciding, and we're going to fear YaHuWaH, and we're going to take these commandments, and we're going to follow this command. But those ones that is saying no idolatry, not to bow down, no. Those ones are not going to do it. So I'm going to continue mixing, I'm going to continue bowing down, and this one, I'm going to do it. It's exactly the same thing that's happening today. The same thing that happened in Christianity. I'm not going to keep the Shabbat. But all the rest of the 10 commandments are applicable today. Who is giving us the authority to pick and choose? Isn't it the same that Ahaz was doing? he decided to put himself in the place of Elohim and said, I'm going to replace the slaughter place because I'm going to make a new one according to my desire and my heart. It's exactly the same behavior. It's the issue of the heart. So it says, so these nations were feeding Yahuwah and served their carved images, both their children and their children's children, as their fathers did, they are doing to this day. So, and you know, it's an interesting way of closing the chapter, because it's exactly what we were talking before. It's telling the story, it's repeating what happened in the past to the coming generations. They didn't do that. They were telling the story to the coming generations of what they decided to do. Not what happened because of not feeding Yahuwah. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. That's why, you know, what is written and what Shlomo said is so true. Because it's happening with different names, it's happening with different attitudes, it's happening with different people, but you know, in the bottom line, it's exactly the same thing.
And now we are seeing that all these are now settled in the earth.
What happened with you know, with all this deprivation that's happening against children, with everything about the LGBTQ?
A lot of lies, a lot
It's
of
mixing.
coveting. We are seeing in our days that all the commandments of Yahuwah are not being respected at all.
But you know what? Why? Because Jesus brought a message of love.
And that's the issue. That
Jesus
a lot of people,
loves everybody.
and he's going to love me because it doesn't matter if I'm a sinner, because his love is covering everything. And that's the wrong message. Because he's the
It's not a wrong message.
it's incomplete. It's mixed with lies.
It's a complete message. Because it's true that he's loving us in the way we are, and he's inviting us to walk with him, but to change our behavior, to change our life, to imitate him. But the point is that
to
he
leave that life behind and start a new life.
But the point is they see Jesus as breaking all the Torah and not following the commandments. So I'm going to be like Jesus, loving everybody, to accepting everybody without even doing an effort to change my behaviors and my mindset, my way of life.
And he was never breaking any commandment. What he was not maybe respecting or following was tradition of man, and that is something completely different.
And it has been established for so many years, and is being exploited in these last days so much, and will increase even more. So that's why we are the one that needs to tell the truth, the complete story. You know, if the newer generations are receiving lies mixed with truth, we are the ones with the responsibility in order to tell the truth. Maybe we don't have the full truth and we have not received the full truth yet. That's okay. But we need to tell the truth and to speak up and to do something when we see wrong being done.
At least the truth that we know that is the truth.
Correct. And to show it clearly so the people have a chance, if they're not able to hear the word, how they are going to believe. So we cannot allow this to happen. It can happen, what happened to the tribe of Israel, the tribes of Israel. It can happen in our personal lives when we depart ourselves, even in the minimal things, from the way of Yahuwah. It can happen in our homes, in our families, in our inner circle. It can happen, you know, in the place we live. It can happen, you know, worldwide. So we need to do something in the place that the Yahuwah has put us. And what we can do, the minimum we can do is, as we were talking before, is to speak up and act. As the other priest from portion last week did. We need to stand up. We cannot remain silent. We need to do something. And this is exactly what it really means to be a witness. Witness is to testify about the truth we know, is to testify about our personal testimony and experiences with Yahuwah and what He has done for our lives, is to share the experiences with His mighty power in our lives, how He has provided healings, how He has provided miracles, how He has sustained us in different periods of our lives. Those are the things that a witness does. Doesn't mean a witness. If you are going to a jury, you know, they're bringing a witness and they need to tell their truth about the situation. So we are witnesses. We need to tell the truth about the situation, the experiences, the life in Yahuwah. Anyways, I think it was a good portion. And it's sad to see what happened to Israel. But it's so beautiful to see that even though that Yahuwah allowed this to happen, He opened the door by sending His Son in order to rescue those lost tribes and to put the two sticks together under the hand of Yahushua, so to become one nation once again. And as soon this nation is becoming one once again, you know, the plan of restoration of all things, because that's the first thing that needs to happen. The plan of restoration of all things, even creation, will move on. That's why it is written, you know, the earth is crying out for the manifestation of the children of Elohim. First, both trees needs to become one tree in the hand of Yahushua.
And then all the corruptible will become uncorruptible.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us, and we really hope that, as always, that that's our prayer, is that these studies are bringing, you know, new information, are helping you in your studies of the Word, helping you and helping us to connect the additional dots, just to see more clearly what is the purpose of Yahuwah for each one of us in these days. You know, understanding all these stories is, as we have been saying today, it will help us also to relate and to tell those stories to others.
And we can see how they are reflected in our own lives. So they are like the map, the correct map, and we can see there, okay, all the bad examples, what we have to avoid, and all what we have to pursue in order to achieve to be back again with our Father.
Absolutely. So having said that, thank you so much for joining us. Keep enjoying your Shabbat. We'll keep enjoying ours. We'll continue tracking the luminaries. We need to go on to see where we are, and I think we have sunshine. Yes, we have. And Yarash made a question. Do you think it could be possible to do more interacting discussions after the portion studies? I don't imagine how we can do it, Yarash, to be honest. And our schedule on Shabbat is also somehow tight. But we will think about it. If something comes to our minds to do something like this, we will try. And maybe we manage to do once a talk show, it's going to be more interactive.
And maybe some of the questions that we don't have an answer, maybe we can bring them to that kind of conversation and to give some opinions, because at the end what we can do is to give our appreciation and our perspective. But even
understanding that we are not the owner of the truth, we are students,
and He is the only one who
share
can
what we think.
Convict us.
Yeah, actually, we really have been trying to see how to manage our schedule to do this talk show, because I think it will bring some blessing on discussing this kind of things. But and I think those ones we can do it more with more interaction, at least with taking a look in the questions and so on. So
Yeah, because
we'll
he
keep you posted.
is paying attention on what is written, so it's more difficult.
Correct. Anyways, we will see on that point, Yarash. And as I was saying, thank you so much for joining us and for your love and support. And keep enjoying Shabbat. Have a wonderful week, a blessed one, and hope to see you next one or in the next video. I don't know what YaHuWaH wants. So keep us in your prayer. Actually, you know, I'm writing a paper. And
it's beautiful.
Yes, it's a good one. So keep me in your prayers, is just to have the energy, the time, the focus, just to allow the Ruach to be with me while I write. Because after writing this document, the idea is to share it with you. You know, it's a key prepping advice. That's going to be the title. Key prepping advice.
And just remember that wherever you are and with whomever you are, you're always an instrument of YaHuWaH. That's the most important thing. So take care of that instrument, of who you are.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom. YaHuWaH will be with you all. So see you next week. Bye-bye.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחייב את דרימתה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, רב להושיע. מחיימת